It's really rare to see a basketball player quit on his team in the middle of the season, but to top that off, it's even more strange to see a 5-star recruit quit in his first season of college basketball. You don't see it often for college players, whether they're a 5-star recruit or just a regular bench warmer, to leave the team. The reason for that is because they're more than likely on scholarship, and 2, they love basketball. Why would they quit? Even if things aren't going the way they wanted them to, they normally wait till the end of the year to enter the transfer portal and then they leave. But however, the guy we're going to be talking about in this video was a 5-star recruit, and he left the team without a real legit reason. It would make more sense, and we might not even be making this video if he had a real reason as to why he left. What makes this story so strange is that even to this day, we have a lot of questions that still haven't been answered. So therefore, it leaves us with the question today: what really happened to Nimari Burnett? What's good, y'all? I hope you're having a blessed day. Like always, just dropping by to say we're on the road to 1 million subscribers. If you love basketball content or content like this in general, what are you doing? Join the family. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. Now, without further ado, let's get into this story. College basketball is much different than 5 years ago, and not just basketball, but football and other sports. 5 to 10 years ago, if you weren't starting and you was a bench player, you couldn't just up and leave. You would have to sit down a year, so you didn't see a lot of transfers. But flash forward in time to the year of 2021, the biggest thing and topic now is the transfer portal. All of a sudden, if players get to a college and they don't like it, they're not playing, or for whatever reason, they can just decide to leave and they don't have to sit down. Don't get me wrong, it has its positives and negatives, because sometimes great players get in bad situations and it turns out to be good that they leave. For example, one of the most recent ones is Javon Quinterly. He went to Villanova, things weren't going good, he transferred to Alabama, and now he's a star. That's one of the very few ones that worked out, but more times than not, they don't. That's the only reason I even like it, because it gives some of these players a better opportunity. The main reason all the quote-unquote older people and old heads don't like it is the same reason I don't like it. It's not teaching these kids to be patient and work hard and wait for your time. If they don't like it, they're spoiled, so they're just gonna leave. These 4- and 5-star recruits, they get to a program where they've been catered to and been the star player their entire life, so when they have to work for their spot, they want to leave. What I'm trying to say is that most of these kids going into college were always the star player, and they don't like it when they're not that quote-unquote star in college. Going into college, all they hear is how great they are, and they've been handed things. Some of them start to get a slight ego, and they think they're better than what they are, and they should be playing, so one minor inconvenience, and they're gonna leave. That's sort of what happened with this situation and the story we're gonna talk about in today's video, but he didn't just leave, he quit. There's a big difference from waiting until the end of the year and just quitting out of nowhere on your team. There's a lot to this story and video, and there's a lot of numerous things we gotta touch on, so without further ado, let's really get into it. Nimari Burnett is the player we will be talking about throughout this video. For high school basketball standards, he was about as good as it gets for the shooting guard position. Nimari was a McDonald's All-American and even named to the Jordan Brand Classic game, and he was racking up almost every award you even could. He's been what I like to call a straight up winner his entire life. And matter of fact, he was so good that he played for his 8th grade team even 2 years before he was in 8th grade, and he led that team to a city championship. He was much better than the kids his age, but we see that all the time with these 4- and 5-star recruits. Most of them peak at a young age, and some of them fall off, but some of them continue to get better. Flash forward in time to his freshman season, this is where he attended Morgan Park High School in Chicago. As just a freshman, this is where he helped lead his team to a state championship once again. In that game, as a 9th grader on the varsity level, he had 20 points. And for the entire year, he was named to the Max Preps Freshman All-America second team. You're starting to see why I label him as a winner, and I don't throw that out there lightly, and I don't know if I've ever called any player we've even talked about a winner. Wherever he goes, he wins. It's simple. Going into his sophomore year though, this is where things start to heat up. He initially enrolled at a high school in Fresno, California, but he wound up transferring to Prolific Prep, and yes, he played alongside Jalen Green. As to why he enrolled in that high school but left and went to Prolific Prep, there's not a clear reason. That all happened within the span of a couple of months, so not a big deal. The only thing, and my only conspiracy theory about it, is that somebody from Prolific Prep was like, hey, come play for us, we got a lot of other good players. Things got off to a bumpy start though because he missed 5 straight weeks with a broken hand. Sometimes those minor setbacks turn into major setbacks and it can even kill a player's career, but that didn't even slow him down. For his junior and senior season, he picked up right where he left off from his freshman year. He somewhat got overshadowed by Jalen Green, but as a senior, he had some of the most impressive stats you'll ever see. He averaged 25.5 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. A little fun fact to throw in there is that he also played for the USA national team and led them to a championship. And when his senior year was coming to an end, he did get named a McDonald's All-American, but he didn't get to play in that game because of the virus. At this point in time in his basketball career now, he was also listed as a 5-star recruit and one of the best shooters in the country. Of course, he had offers from every single college, but after a long process, he decided to commit for Texas Tech. I remember when this happened, and at the time, I thought it was going to be a great fit. Texas Tech was on the rise, this kid was on the rise, so it was a perfect match. But let me just tell you, I couldn't have been any more wrong. And oh yeah, about his recruitment process, here's what he had to say. I chose Texas Tech because of the winning culture and the program and the coaching staff. It felt like a big family. However, with all those great things being said, this is where our story takes one of the strangest turns ever. Once he got on campus, he was immediately one of the best players on the team. Therefore, everyone within the program, ESPN, and people in general were expecting him to not necessarily be a one and done type of talent, but at least put up solid numbers. I do gotta say, for a 5-star recruit, he was one of those guys that you didn't even know was even that good or was a 5-star. He was under the radar, and that was good for him because there was almost zero pressure. As long as he didn't have a flop of a season, nobody was gonna say much, but he had a flop. He only appeared in 12 games. In those games, he was only averaging roughly 17.7 minutes. And man, oh man, it was straight up horrendous. He averaged 5.3 points per game, 1.8 rebounds, and 0.9 assists. I know what you're sitting there thinking. Well, Matt, for a freshman, that's not terrible. And yes, I agree. But listen to this. There was a huge problem with Nimari Burnett. And that problem was the fact that he shot a lot and didn't make a lot. He only shot 28% from the overall field. And from the 3-point line, remember, he was known as a great shooting guard. He only shot 17%. This was a guy who was regarded by many analysts to be the best shooter in the country. So for him to shoot below 20% was just terrible. There's no other way to put it. There's no sugarcoating it. Maybe if he was a point guard or a power forward or center, you could sugarcoat it, but no. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't even sugarcoat that stat for any player. I don't care if you're a center or a point guard. The only bright side from his overall game was the fact that he did shoot 90% from the free throw line. But yeah, who cares about that? We talk about and I show you guys the stats a lot on this channel just so you get a perspective. And I've made it clear, but I'm gonna say it again. I'm not a huge numbers guy, but I think they do matter. I'm not gonna be dumb, they do matter, and I always go by the phrase that numbers never lie. Sometimes they do, but in this case, they don't. I have the perfect example of what Burnett looked like playing for Texas Tech. Have you ever been to a party or gathering and there's 50 people and you don't like any of them and you don't know what to talk about? That's exactly what it looked like for Nimari Burnett, but on the basketball court. He looked like he didn't fit in or he wasn't comfortable. The college version of him and the high school version looked like two different players. It's almost like he was scared and nervous, and I hate to say that because there was nothing for him to be nervous about. How many people do you know going into the season was hyping up Nimari Burnett? Unless you're a Texas Tech fan or around that area, nobody was talking about him. It looked like he was scared out there, and even when he shot, it didn't look smooth or anything. I wanted to throw that out there and say it just so you understand why things didn't go good, not just from looking at the stats. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. If you were a coach and there was a 5-star recruit and you loved the kid, but he wasn't playing good, would you still play him? It's really a legit and tough situation because you recruited him and you know he can hoop, but he's not showing it. So it's really unfair to the players that are working hard and playing good that are sitting the bench to not put them in over him. And that was the case. As the season continued to go on, his minutes continued to go down. You can't even make a case and be like, oh, he didn't have a shot, because he did. He was playing terrible, so the coach is only left with one thing to do. He had to sit him on the bench. Okay, maybe I wasn't clear about this. He didn't just flat up out of nowhere say, yeah, you're not playing anymore, but he wasn't playing him the entire game. He was averaging roughly 18 minutes per game, which is almost half the game, so that's still not bad. But remember, for Burnett, this is a kid who was a star his entire life, and he's never came out of the game. And what I'm about to say, he wouldn't admit it, but it's the truth. His ego got hurt. His ego, confidence, cockiness, whatever you like to call it, it flew out the window. But hold on right there. We haven't even gotten to what's crazy about this story. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the season, well, actually, technically, it was a little before the halfway point, but in early January, he said he's done. Through only 12 games, he said that he's done and he's opting out. Which in other terms means he quit. He didn't transfer, he didn't get hurt, or none of that. He flat out quit on his team. If you disagree with that, I don't know what to tell you. You must be a quitter too. And even till this day, nobody even has a legit reason. The only thing that was even sourced from all of this was that it was quote unquote personal reasons. And every article and news thing at the time, all they said was it's unclear. I strongly disagree. I think it's very clear. He got his ego and confidence hurt. He wasn't playing good, so the coach didn't have a choice. He couldn't play him as much, and he literally threw a crybaby fit. He said, oh, well, you're not gonna play me the entire game? Well, alright, I'm gonna just quit. I try to give these players we talk about in these videos the benefit of the doubt, but there's no excuse for this. Oh yeah, one thing I almost forgot to mention is that in those 12 games, he didn't start a single one, and I know he didn't like that. Here's what a source from Texas Tech said that he told them. Quote unquote, he will continue his basketball training and is planning to either return to the NCAA or enter the 2021 NBA draft. The fact that he even told that person or whoever it was that he may enter the 2021 NBA draft, that's gotta be the biggest joke I've ever seen. Dude, you couldn't even start for your college team, and when you got in, you couldn't even shoot over 18% from the three-point line. No NBA team in their right mind would draft you. I know he's just saying that to sound professional, like, oh, I'm going to enter the transfer portal or take my talents to the NBA. But still, the fact that he even said that, oh, that irritates me. You literally quit on your team. No NBA team is picking a kid that quit in the halfway point of college basketball. Anyways, let me continue on before I get heated. When this happened, Aaron Torres on Twitter tweeted out this. Just saw that Texas Tech guard and former McDonald's All-American Nimari Burnett is transferring. Talented player, but a tough spot to earn playing time with so many veteran guards in the backcourt at Tech. Would expect there to be a lot of teams lined up to sign him. Alright, I know I was bashing him somewhat for the past 4 to 5 minutes, but that's just because I guess you could say I'm old school. I don't like when players quit on their team. I wouldn't have even been mad if he would have finished the season even though he didn't want to and then transferred. But the fact that you quit, I don't know, it gets to me. I agree with Aaron Torres 100%. That he is a great and he's still a very talented basketball player. And like he said in that tweet, there was a lot of teams excited that he was going to even enter the transfer portal because they wanted him. I want you to really think about this. So instead of helping his team throughout the season, he had to watch them struggle sometimes and lose, and if he would have played, he might have could have helped them. I feel like Nimari was being selfish by opting out in the middle of the season, but let me know what you think about that in the comment section because I'm very curious. Here's my thing. If you knew you were going to enter the transfer portal, why didn't you just finish out your season at Texas Tech? You could have played more basketball, got better, and all that good stuff. There's no positives to doing what he did. Whether you disagree with his decision or not, on April 8th in 2021, this is when he announced that he was going to be transferring to Alabama. This is where things really get ironic because I'm sure some of you will know this and most of you may not, but I'm an Alabama basketball fan. I'm an Alabama fan in general. I like the football team, basketball team, and all the sports. And I know I said I didn't like what he did, but just because I don't like his decision and him quitting on his team doesn't mean I'm not excited to land this kid. He's a great and very talented young man, but with that being said, that doesn't mean I have to agree with his decisions. I'm really excited Alabama got him because I think he's going to be a big piece to the team next year. My only problem and concern with this is that I don't really know if this was the best fit for him. If you keep up with high school basketball or Alabama basketball, you will also know that we have Javon Quinterly coming back, who will be starting. And we also have a 5-star recruit known as JD Davison, which is also a point guard, and he's coming in. So I don't really know and see where Burnett would even find room to play or even time to play in the starting lineup. Okay, let me backtrack on that. He's gonna play, I'm sure of that. I just don't know how much, and if he does play, will he be a factor? Like at Texas Tech, he was playing 20 minutes per game, but he was a non-factor. It's going to be another interesting situation to keep up, and there's one thing for sure, his story isn't even close to being over. If he won't, he's still got 3 years of college basketball left, and I'm gonna be honest, I think he's talented enough to get to the NBA in 1 to 2 years. I'm gonna be more on the optimistic side, and here's why. If you don't know Javon Quinterly, he was a 5-star recruit in high school. He went to Villanova and didn't play at all, similar to Nimari Burnett. When he did play, he wasn't doing anything. So therefore, he transferred to Alabama. He had to sit out a year, and in this recent year, he was a star, but he was still coming off the bench. And now Quinterly's projected to get drafted, and not the draft coming up, but the one after that. So right there, that's an example similar to Nimari Burnett'S, because Nimari's coming from a school where he didn't play much, and now he's going to Bama. Burnett can turn his career around like Quinterly did in just the span of 1 year. We don't see it a lot, but it could happen. And the reason I don't know how to feel about this is because I don't know what to expect out of Burnett. For me, this is where I stand on it. There's no in-betweens. He's either going to be in the NBA or he's going to be a bust. Things are either going to go really good at Alabama or they're going to go really bad. I'm wishing him the best of luck in his basketball career. Hope he has a great season next year and he sees a lot of success in his basketball career moving forward. Was I being a little harsh on him in this video? Yeah, but that's how we rock on this channel. I tell it how it is. There's no sugarcoating it. He shouldn't have quit on his team, but I'm not going to hold that against him. I'm going to be rooting for him, and I'm really going to be rooting for him now that he's playing for my team. One thing about the past, and it's something I live by, you can't change it, so there's no need to focus on it. Like I said though, I'm very curious, so let me know about what you think about this entire situation. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? I see you right there. You're sitting on the toilet. You might as well hit the subscribe button, join the family, and leave a like for more. And without further, I'm going to sell my outro all the time. Let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.